Productions.
Outstanding.
Welcome again to the continuation of this particular mixing session of the Shano Time No song, and I'm going to go to the bus processing of this particular vocal, in which I'm going to show you the bus processing for this bus. I'm going to show you the bus processing of this particular session or this particular song, in which on other songs it may differ, but I just want to share the knowledge on how I mix this particular vocal. So without further ado, we solo up the vocals. Here I have the RVOCs to give it a little bit more. Now from the previous video, if you haven't watched it, please do, so you can get a better understanding of where I'm coming from. So for this particular video now, what we really want to focus on is just getting the vocal more up front in your face, getting a little bit more smoother, color it a little bit, and adding some, just fine tuning the vocals a little bit more. Now this particular channel, I have the RVOCs here, in which I have it about 4.2. Sometimes I navigate between 4.6, between 3.5 to get that suitable sound that I really need. So after this particular plugin, sometimes I have a limiter there, sometimes I do not. Sometimes some of these limiters have color on it. Sometimes I will put a tube like limiter there to give it a little bit of color, but particular is just there not doing anything. And this channel here, it's a parallel compression, but the way this one has been done is like boosting and cutting, boosting, compressing and cutting. I boosted, I compressed, and I cut back those said frequency that I boosted. It's just a way to really get the vocals really more upfront in your face with just having heavy coloration on it. So this is what it sounds like with it on it.
Rich me prefer, feel good, because feel better. Millions in the book, £1,000 for the sweater. Queen for the place, I write me a letter. Real go getter. A time now, man mother for your smile now.
So this is another form of parallel compression to get the vocals in your face and getting it a little bit more tight. So some of these plugins on this channel came in the session that I have received from the engineer. It's just that I add on it because it already have a certain tone and color, so I really didn't want to change the texture of the vocals dramatically, that it was not recognizable and not sounding like the actual, similar to the actual song that they already have or already heard. Because oftentimes you will hear artists or producers saying that the mix that you have given them, it sounds very different from the demo. So it just sounds like a total different material. So I have been through that, and I understand it is my duty to enhance what is already been given to me, if it was given to me in a format that shows me where to take the song. Because oftentimes I receive demos and stems, and it is impossible for me to recreate certain things, not knowing what plugins are being used, and I do not actually always get the exact same sound. But we as engineers, we are not magicians, but we try to make do with whatever material we have. So first on this bus is Producer. So I pretty much leave it as is, as how I put it on it.
Rich me prefer, feel good, because
Catching some S's, using a stock compressor. I think this one came on it, but it was way more compression, so I had to back it off a little bit, and I pretty much leave the gain as is, as how it came on the session.
rich me prefer, feel good, because feel better. Millions in the book, £1,000 for the sweater. Queen for the place, I write me a letter. Real go getter.
Yeah, a lot of gain there. After that, this C6 plugin came on it, and I pretty much leave it as is, doing what it has already been doing.
Rich me prefer, feel good, because feel better. Millions in the book, £1,000 for the sweater.
Because I like it what it was already doing, and as I said, I didn't want to change tone or characteristic of the vocal dramatically. After that, there's this low-fly plugin that came on it also, in which they did a 0.1% of distortion, and I pretty much leave it as is. This helps to thicken up the vocals a little bit more for those who don't know. So you can really use, it's like a saturation, but you know, it's slightly operates different. So this is there just to thicken it up a little bit. The plugin that I added here is Pultec EQ, and this is a really tricky one because a lot of people do not use this type of EQ to do this type of stuff. So I'm going to share an industry secret with you. If you want to get your vocal really big up in your face and sounding mighty, this is one of the tricks, or this is one of the plugins you can really use. Let me enlarge this a little bit more so you can really see. So what I did on this particular plugin is at 100 hertz, I boosted and cut also. So if I boosted around 4, I cut by half or a little bit below half. That's how I usually operate here. Now for the high frequency, I boosted around 10k, 4.6 dB per octave, and I cut by almost half with a very wide band. And this attenuation selection model here, it works in conjunction with this plugin. These two work together and these three work together. So what I had done is at 5,000 kilohertz, I cut by I attenuate, let me use the term on this particular EQ, I attenuate by 2. So I think it is, the slope is about 6 dB per octave. So let's see if we can get an idea what it probably might look like. So at around 5, let's say around, so this is around 5, and we have a high cut. It would look something like that. Well, we can change it octave. So I'm going to put it at 6 dB per octave. Yeah, so it would start to shave off most of the highs that are up here in the song, but it does it a way that it's sounding really, really smooth and it is not really noticeable. But instead of those airy frequency, if you don't want it, you can really use this to kind of shave off some of the airy frequency on your vocal. So I'm going to play it without and with.
Rich me prefer, feel good, because feel better. Millions in the book, 1,000 pounds for the sweater. Queen for the place, of write me a letter. Real go getter. A time now, a time now. Man mother for your smile now. Me little brother for park up him right now. Them throw me in the dark, well now me climb out.
So the vocals is a little bit more, you know, pronounced, sounding a little bit more, you know, manly, and it is sounding the way how I really want it to be sound for this particular session. After that, I have a multi-band compressor, slightly boosting and attenuating the highs a little bit and the mid frequencies to kind of smooth out those frequency. But as you can see here, in the graph, you're seeing a lot of low noise. I think one of the plugins here is adding some form of harmonics to it. As you can see, the EQ is adding some form of harmonics. So if you see me turn off some of these plugins high and low, because some of these plugins are introducing harmonics to the vocals. So, you know, say if one add 1% of harmonics and the other is adding 1%, it's going up, you know, dramatically. So it's keep on multiplying in the song. As it goes through more plugin, it keep on multiplying. So
rich me prefer, feel good, because feel better. Millions in the book, 1,000 pounds for the sweater. Queen for the place, of write me a letter. Real go getter.
There was a lot of transient sticking out in the mid frequency, so I had to compress it a little bit more using a multi-band compressor. Instead of using like a 2A or 76 or a VCA type style compressor, I use a multi-band to compress specific frequencies. After that, I added a de-esser. I use this classic settings and the RX de-esser. Pretty decent de-esser, really liked it. And this is what it sounds like.
Rich me prefer, feel good, because feel better. Millions in the book, £1,000 for the sweater. Queen for the place of.
This particular compressor is very aggressive, so you have to be careful how you really use it, because it is a very, very aggressive, if needs be. But you know, the more you push up the threshold, you know, the less aggressive it gets. But it serves its purpose whenever I need it to use. The next plugin I think came on the session, and I pretty much leave it as is. So the bias is set to over. The speed of the tape is 15 IPS per seconds, and everything else, the low pass is around 3.5 kilohertz. So I think it's about 6 dB per octave. So it's kind of shaving off the high end of the vocal, so it sounds a little bit more rounder and a little bit more smoother in the top for this particular session. So this is what it sounds like without it.
Rich me prefer, feel good, because feel better. Millions in the book, £1,000 for the sweater. Queen for the place of write me a letter. Real go getter. A time now, a time now.
And last but not least, I added an EQ doing some form of weird thing, you know, compressing here, because some frequency start to jump out a little bit more by using the tape. But as I said, I didn't want to change the entire characteristic of the session, so you know, I had to do some things. I had to do some things to kind of shape the vocals how I really need it for this particular song.
Rich me prefer, feel good, because feel better. Millions in the book, £1,000 for the sweater.
So the boxy frequency here starts to jump out again. So I had to deal with that in a specific manner. And you may be asking why I did not use a compressor at the end of the chain. But however, this tape plugin is already doing some form of compression. So I didn't want to over compress it in any way, shape or form. And on the mix bus also, I have compressors that is gluing the tracks together, so I didn't really want to over compress a lot of stuff. So pretty much I'm going to play the chorus, part of the chorus of the song, so you can hear how it actually sounded on the track.
Rich me prefer, feel good, because feel better. Millions in the book, £1,000 for the sweater. Queen for the place of write me a letter. Real go getter. A time now, a time now. Man, mother feel smile now. Me little brother fi park up.
Yeah, so that is it for the bus processing of these particular vocals, and I will go over another session where you can see a different style of EQing the vocals and doing bus processing on this said particular rhythm project that the producer has done. So please stay tuned for another 2-part video of another song. Or I think I'm going to break it up into 6 different videos showing 3 different songs that I did on the project and how I achieved the same sound on the instrumental to some degree. So please do subscribe, hit the bell notification button. It really helps me. When you press that like button, it helps the YouTube algorithm to push this video to more people. So please do stay tuned for another video. It's a boy Eldorado. Without further ado, peace out.